Hi everybody and welcome back to video number 2. When we left off, we were looking at the 4 different ways that we use these interest tables. Okay, let's see what we've got. We're going to describe here the earning of interest and the concepts of present and future value. These are useful concepts not only professionally, but for your private lives as well. You may want to buy a car someday. You may want to buy a home someday. Okay, so here, the value of assets and liabilities are going to change over time. I think you know that pretty much by now. And that change is due to interest. For example, we throw cash in the bank and it earns some interest. So our present and future value computations help us to measure that over time. Present value is used to determine the value of future day assets today. And that's what we use a lot in the business world. Future value is used to determine the value of present day assets at the future date. We can use that for personal items as well. Okay, let's take a look at this. We have a single amount that we can use interest tables, and here is the formula. These formulas are a little complex. I think you saw the Steve's Way calculation. I believe those are a lot easier, but these work beautifully too if you want to get behind them. Here, P stands for present value, F for future value, I for interest, and the number of periods. Pretty universal abbreviations. And so here our present value is 200, our future value is 220, and our interest is 10%, and it's only for 1 year. Okay, so let's take a look at how that looks. This is Exhibit B2. And for multiple periods, we can do the same thing. Here is the present value of a single amount over multiple periods, just like I did a little bit on the Excel spreadsheets accompanying this PowerPoint. The present value tables helps with these computations. So they provide the present value factors for a variety of interest rates and periods. If you want to use my factors, all you have to do is take my factors and divide that into 1. So I take 1 and divide it by my factor. You'll get the book factors that we'll show you here in a second. The present value assumes that the future value equals 1. And we'll take a look at table B.1, and the future value of that is shown here with this more complicated formula you see here, if you can see it behind my picture there. All right, let's take a look at an example. Here, we're going to solve for the present value of 220 when we know the interest is 10% and the period's 1. So we go to the table B1 and we look for period 1 at 10%. So let me stop this for. Okay, so here's table B.1, and as you see over here under period 1 and 10%, we have our lovely 0.9091, and that's how you use this table. And I showed you how to calculate that in my Excel spreadsheet the previous video. Okay, back to our problem then. That's where we got that 0.9091. So then all we need to do is take the $220 and multiply it by the factor there, and away we go. If you use my factor, you need to divide, which you'll need here when you do your case, your group project. So in case 2, we're going to solve for the number of periods, knowing the interest rate's 12% and The present value is 13,000. You want 100,000 in so many years, and you have 13,000 today. What interest rate do you need to be able to do that? Very helpful for calculating investment strategies that you might have on your 401k, for example. So we take 13,000 and we divide that by 100,000, and that's 13%. So then we go into table B1 and we find the value nearest that in the 12% column. And we find that it's going to take about 18 years at 12% to get you to $100,000, putting this single amount in at 13,000. All right. So in case number 3 here, we're going to solve for the interest rate knowing the present value is 60,000 and the number of periods is 9. You want 120 in 9 years and you have 60,000 today. So what does that get you? And you can find the nearest value to 50% here, 0.50 in row 9, interest 8%. Okay, some techniques using the present value tables. We can apply the future value concepts to a single amount by using the interest rates tables as well. Here, we're going to have our present value of same one that we had before for a single amount. And now what we do is we have a future value of $266, and that will take you back at 10% to a present value of $200 over 3 periods, 3 years. All right. Now, using our present value tables, we can also compute future values. And in this case, we're going to use a different table, B.2. If you're using Steve's way, we multiply my factors to get to future values. We divide by my factors to get to present value. Here you have to go to a different table and know which one to use. I think it's a little more confusing. All right, so here's some cases. Here you're solving for the future value. When you know interest is 12%, the number of periods is 5. You invest $100 at 12%. You go look that table item up in B2, and you're going to look under 5 periods, 12%. You're going to find 1.7623. Multiply that times 100, and that's going to be $176.23. Now you can do some other calculations. If you want, in case 2, to solve for the number of periods when you know the interest is 7% and you know the future value is 3,000, and you have 2,000 in hand and you want 3,000, and you want to know how many years it's going to take to get to 3,000 at 7%. And if you walk through this methodology here, you'll see that that's about 6 years. And then in case 3, we solve for interest where we're knowing the future value is 4,000. N is going to be equal to 9 years, and you have $2,001, and you want that to be $4,000 in 9 years. So in this case, we're going to take that 2001 and divide it into 4,000, and we get 1.999, and we go into row 9. We find the nearest value to that. It's just interest rate's going to be 8%. Okay. We also have present value of an annuity. So here we're using the interest tables, and it shows you here how we can add those together. Boom, boom, boom. And that comes from B1, just like I showed you, and they add them together for convenience here in table B3. So it makes life a little easier, and we can apply that using the tables. And that's exactly what we did using the future value of an annuity here. So we go to table B4, same concept here. We add the values from B2 into that, B.2, and that gives you your factor you'll find in table B.4. And here are those present value tables I talked about a second or two ago. Here's B.1, here's B.2, here's B.3, and here's B.4. If you used Steve's way, you don't need these tables. That's the beauty of them. And I'm going to provide you calculation methodologies for your group projects so you know how to use Steve's way for calculating such things as net present value. Internal rate of return, I think you'll find almost impossible to do using the present value tables. Mine, of course, come out perfectly. And I think you'll see that once you get used to it, it's very easy to use. And if you plan on going on to your MBAs at some point in time, you'll find that that Steve's way is particularly useful for a lot of different calculations. So that gives you a little bit of an overview and taste of the time value of money. But I know you're not quite up to par as what you need to do for your group project, but not to worry. I have more videos in store for you as we proceed. Until that time, bye for now.